everybody. Terry Brown, all bass, no bull, and a lot of positive things going on in the fishing industry right now. I mean, it seems like the controversy always is around because of social media and some of the things that are going on there. But in reality, I was last week not at ICAST, but a good friend of mine was there. We're going to have him on here in a minute. But the big thing is while the week was going on, a lot of people were calling me, and I did not have a single negative thing told to me about this year's ICAST. And so I said, I'm going to go to the guy that I know always tells me the truth. And I guess his family, I guess I should say he and his dad, Steve, Dan Quinn, is probably one of the most honest, straightforward guys and hardworking guys I know in the industry. And it's kind of fun when we get to shoot the breeze a little bit. We used to do it a lot more than we do now, but I just really honored that he would have time. And you're going to see that he's out somewhere where I wish I was. Dan, welcome to the program.
Hey, Terry, thanks for having me on. Yeah, well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm in my office today.
That boy. You know, it's kind of funny because I've known your dad, I think, for eons. Hall of Famer, great guy, in fisherman, was one of the really big guys there. Still doing stuff, you know, still writing, still doing some stuff like that, which I think is outstanding. And one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. So it comes natural for you to be one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet too. You know, last week you were at ICAST, and you know, while I'm sitting here at my desk, which I do a lot, I'm finding out that, you know, I'm kind of thinking, man, maybe, you know, because I heard a lot of negative going into it, you know, a lot of, man, I'm not sure if this is going to work anymore, and is it a good show? Every comment I got was great. Every comment that said to me said, maybe not as big a crowds, maybe not as many people, not as many buyers, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the dialogue that happened there was so positive, and the folks at ASA and the people on the board there need to get kudos for what a great job they did. And kind of what I kind of wanted to get your opinion about how you thought it went.
100%. It was, well, selfishly speaking, it was far and away the best ICAST in the history of the world for Rapala, but things are really moving along. But all in all, just as the health of the show and everything, it was really good. Yep, it was really productive. I think everyone accomplished what they wanted to get done there. Met with people, and yeah, it was just a hair quieter, but honestly, I thought that's a good thing. You know, you don't want to be too overwhelmed and swamped, and it's an industry show. You know, it's the one industry show of the year, and it's a place to do business and create content now is a big part of it. But no, it was a huge success. Everything was real smooth and flawless. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a really good ICAST. Absolutely.
Well, you know, when you look at ICAST, it's like a big family reunion for the most part. Everybody gets to see each other. When you're overwhelmed, and I've been in both positions, I've been at when it was not very many people with COVID years and some of that stuff, but then also to the point where now you can talk to somebody and you weren't looking for the next guy. You know, everybody's always sitting there, like I'm talking to you, and they're looking over, here comes somebody, you know, I got to talk to in 10 minutes or whatever. And that doesn't happen if you have a less size group. Now, understandingly, you know, some of the people like Pure Fishing wasn't there. There's some other people that didn't go, but those that went were very positive. And I think the best of show things went well. And I kind of would like you to talk about, you know, VMC and Rapala and the things you had happen there, if you would.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as far as that goes, you know, we won 5 awards for best of show, from best new freshwater hardbait, best new saltwater hardbait, best new terminal with VMC, which I think was the 6th or 7th award in that category, which is just incredible. Best new ice fishing item with our new auger, and best new, the giant DT with the U.S. flag plastered on it was a super cool kind of everyone, you know, a big, good man cave item. So that one as well. And then the freshwater hardbait was the claptail, which is a really, really cool and exciting bait that I was pretty involved with Kyle, our Rapala PD guy, Kyle Wood, and then obviously Mr. Wheeler. And it was a culmination of 3 of us in a few years of just R&D. And when that thing came together and is the finished product now, the claptail, we're pretty proud of it. And to see it win that award, it's awesome. It was a really special night to win 5 awards. And as far as the freshwater hardbait, it was the first time in 25 years for Rapala to win, which seems kind of funny, but it's just, you know, that's how it's played out, and it is what it is. But we're extremely honored and excited to accept that award this year. So
every year there's something. One year it's a year of the frogs. Next year it's a year of the kayak. Next year it's a year. This year was the year of the porcupine or the seal, or whatever the heck the thing is. I firmly believe that bait proves that bass are really dumb. That's what it does. Because that thing looks like, I don't even know, a sea urchin, I guess, but everybody had one at this event. They really did, and there's still more coming out of the woodwork. And I think that the companies who hung their hat on that, they're going to have success with it, because it basically comes down to cost. It comes down to how many you get in a pack. It comes down to some of that kind of stuff. But the bait you guys came out with is a kind of a, I don't know the best way I can explain it. It's like a whopper plopper, but it has noise, and it has the what do you call it, the clacker? Is that right? Is that the proper terminology for that?
Yeah, it's a plopping style bait, but adding in a really, really loud metal on metal clacking noise. And the sound it makes underwater and above water is very unique. It's very loud, and it's a cool deal. There's a lot going on. It may not appear as, it's a whopper plopper style bait. So what? There's a lot going on as far as the fin on the belly for stability. The blade is actually upside down, and if that blade is not upside down, it doesn't do its job. There was a lot of really intricate little details that came to life, which I've you come to expect working with Jake on stuff. I mean, that's what the Crush City lineup's been. It's the details and the behind the scenes stuff that people don't even notice. But what it does is it helps you catch more fish, and that's the goal. And we've been doing it. And honestly, I mean, as I pat myself on the back, but Rapala as a whole with Jake, everything's been really clicking and working. And to see it all come to life and be this successful, win that award, it's really, really cool. It's cool. We've got some great momentum, and we're having fun. I mean, honestly, when it's going like this, it's fun, and making baits, helping people catch fish. It's like, it's kind of the goal, So
Yeah,
we're gonna
it
keep.
really is. The plopper style baits really came out of the musky northern realm. It was something that I'm sure that started there, kind of had a plopper bait, that kind of stuff. But you're kind of bringing a kind of a crossover to it. Whether it's making more noise, some of that kind of stuff. My only question is, have you caught any toothy critters on it yet?
Well, you're gonna catch some pike on it. Yep. And honestly, to play off that, like with Larry Dahlberg and his bringing the whopper plopper to life in the bass world from the musky world, the inspiration for that metal on metal is another musky bait called a flap tail, where a blade hits a copper pin on the back of it, but it's a real slow bait. And that was kind of the, how can we blend this or utilize that sound into a bass bait, because we catch big bass on that musky bait. So it was challenging, but it's rewarding. If it's challenging, that means it's often worth your time to do. So
Well, you guys have had long reputation, whether it's the DT series, but now Crush City, and I know you're integral in that. Crush City with Jacob Wheeler and the stuff that's coming out there. Everybody I talk to, hey, have you got the Crush City minnow? Have you got this? Have you got that? Have you got this? And it seems like you guys continually come out with shapes that are different. They're just different. They're enough different that people are catching fish on them. Crush City's been a crushing blow for. I mean, it's great for the industry, great for Rapala, but it's really something that I watch you guys and applaud you about. I think it's excellent product. Price points are good. It's all the things that fishermen are looking for.
yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's been a labor of love, really. It's just when you get the opportunity to create stuff from ground zero and work with Jake, I mean, get into his mind. It's like it's a really, really cool opportunity to do that and to get the stuff right with the engineers and the factories. I mean, there's so much involved from the sales team and planning and ordering in the warehouse. It's a huge team effort, but it really came together really well. We're having success with it, and it's yeah, we're the sky's the limit now. We're rolling with it, and it's fun to really talk to Jake about what baits he thinks we need, and for the reasons we want to win tournaments, but we also can't make a bait that isn't going to sell enough to justify its production. So it's always a balancing act, just as it is with hard baits. But it's been fun. Yeah, I mean, Crush City, it's a fun brand. We're all about positivity and catching fish from the top level to the bottom level.
Well,
So it's pretty cool. Even right now, I got my little guys throwing pig sticks and janitors right now.
Yeah, and I'm keeping you from it. I know that.
No, no, no. It's all good.
Yesterday you told me, hey, I said, can we set this up for yesterday? And you go, well, I've got to be on the water. I'm doing this and this and this and this. So today I get you here and you're on the water again. And then next week you're going to be on the water. It's called product development, right? Isn't that what you guys call that when you're out there on the water testing baits and stuff?
Well, it is. I've got 4 or 5 different baits for the next couple of years tied on, fine tuning, waiting, and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's a great. I can't complain. I got the best job in the world. I get to work with the pros and help make new baits, test them, and definitely got to get on the water though. I mean, you can't make good fishing lures if you don't fish. It's my philosophy. So,
And
but
I don't think you can be in the industry without being a fisherman. There's a lot of people
no,
trying
no,
that.
it's part of it. That's why we're in it. We all love it and it's fun. But yeah, next week I'm excited. It'll be my first fly-in trip to way up north in Canada. Just hop in a 14-foot Lund with a 10-horse motor and catch some walleyes and pike and lake trout. And yeah, it's just going to be a little getaway, and I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to go to some places where the fish haven't seen baits a lot of times. The baits that you're going to be
I know it.
which
Yep,
is nice. I
yep.
always told Ryan Deshane and I are buddies, and he's oh man, the fish is so good up here. I said, yeah, for 2 months it's great, but the bottom line is that you have more fish. They have a shorter window for you guys to be able to get out and fish them. And I've never seen anything like it. The only thing I didn't like when I've been up to the north country, Grand Rapids, that area, was the darn mosquitoes. They had numbers on the side of them. They had air traffic controllers landing them. And it was funny because it didn't get dark. It didn't get dark till like 10 o'clock at night. But the minute it got dark, you better have a metal suit on because they're brutal. And, the fishing up there,
Yeah, they are.
Fishing is phenomenal.
Yeah, you can throw a saddle on some of them, ride them around. They get a little bit too big.
Yeah, well, land of many fish and 10,000 lakes, all the stuff that goes with it, but a land of mosquitoes for me, and it's a great place because the diversity of the fisheries there that allows you to test better too. I would think is that you're not just testing on a mud hole, you're testing on bodies of water that have fish to see which ones they bite, which colors they bite better, which everything. I mean, the DT series when it came out, big believer. I'm number one in the DT series. We throw a lot of DT6s and DT8s, and because we have a tough fisheries here in Illinois, but that bait in particular has done wonders here in Illinois and in the Midwest. That small crankbait, it's kind of funny because the crankbaits, the spinner baits, all the things that we're used to throwing all these years, big worms, that kind of stuff, it's kind of getting a back seat now because of all the new creations that people are coming out with. And I give you guys in particular a lot of credit for noticing what's new, what's working, that kind of stuff. But you got to give the Japanese a little bit of credit too, because those guys are coming out with goofy things like that sea urchin thing that I was just talking about earlier. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that you could take a chunk of plastic and run a bunch of string through it and have it be something you drop shot with and win tournaments with, which is integral.
No, I know it. I know it. It's wild. Yeah, it's cool to see all the innovation, and yeah, I think it's good to have a balance. Up here, we've got a lot of really good fisheries where you can get a lot of bites and you can really work through some stuff. But something to be said, making sure they bite it, when it's tough, pressured fisheries. But yeah, the Japanese, gosh, their fisheries are so tough, and you got to go to such light line and use some pretty wild looking baits. I'm always excited to see what Taku and all those great Japanese guys are throwing in tournaments, because you never know. I mean, the fuzzy dice thing came along. I was like, what in the world? But it catches them. It does. I think it's probably more of a fall rate type of thing, but either way, it's cool. That is cool. There's just constant innovation and improving upon different things in fishing. It's a never ending cycle. I mean, 20 years ago, you say, what else could we possibly make? Right. And then every year it's like, there couldn't be anything else now.
Well, and the thing of it is, the new is what drives the industry, honestly. This tried and true are always going to be there. They're always going to be there. But the new is what drives this industry, and having innovators like you and the folks at Rapala and the folks at VMC and that kind of stuff, always thinking outside the box, is really what makes our industry grow and makes it go. And I think it's important that people recognize that, new is really important to our space. I watched those guys when they were fishing the Elite Series, and you catch a fish, and you know how secret it is because you got your hand over the bait the whole time you're taking the fish off, right? You're hiding the bait. Well, once it's on national television, it kind of changes things a little bit. But there's a lot of good things going on in our space. Absolutely great. Now you've got a new boat you're breaking in, a Ranger 520. Tell me a little bit about the experience of getting a new boat, breaking it in, going out, testing baits, doing all that kind of stuff. That's just part of it, isn't it?
It is, it's an amazingly awesome part of the job, but it is definitely part of it. Motor in and get it ready to go. It's just, more of a tool than anything. Of course, I love fishing and going fishing tournaments and stuff, but you got to get on the water. You got to put a lot of time into these baits and make sure actions are right and the weighting is right and the right hook size and the hooks aren't tangling. I mean, there's just a million different things. There's a checklist of processes to make sure the baits are as good as they can be. It's truly the goal that bait, Rapala produces. It's an iconic brand. It's a big deal to have a hand in this process with such a historical and there's such deep history and rich history with that, with hand tuned, tank tested. It's certainly fun, and I'm sure there's a lot of envious people about it, but it gets to be a job. But either way, yeah, it's pretty awesome. And out here today, we got a beautiful day. It's going to get nice and hot, but yeah, I've not had the boat for long, so just got it broke in, and I'm eager to put some time in on it.
Well, you bring up a good point. I think people look at your job and you're dealing with the pros and all the gizmos and all this stuff, but it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, back and forth, and the discussions and all the things that go on to make things work. It takes a lot of time. The other thing is, it's not always fun times. It's sitting at the desk, figuring out what hook works best on what bait, all those kind of things that make it a job. But that when winning that award, I guess is the big thing. You went to all that effort. You spent years, thinking about it, looking at it, getting with Jacob, doing all the things you did, and then when you win that award, it kind of puts icing on the cake.
It totally does. Yeah, it's definitely a labor of love. You just know that these are things we have to do. It's part of it. And yeah, there's definitely more office time than water time, I will say. But
When will that
yeah,
is that
no,
bait
it's pretty awesome when it comes together.
is that bait available now, or is it going to be a little while before it's available?
Not yet. No, unfortunately, that's especially these days where it's like, oh, I see that, I want it. You order it off your phone. We launch everything at ICAST. It's exciting, and then it's like, oh, where do I get it? Well, you might get it from Santa. It might be. It looks around December. It's kind of that time frame when it'll start to hit retailers. So
Yeah, and that's always a big part
that's
of it too. Not only have to come out with great baits, but you got to have people that want to sell it. And you guys have never had a problem with that, but a lot of people who come out and win awards and that kind of stuff, part of it's distribution, isn't it? It's getting out there and making sure bait's available to guys that want to fish it, guys that want to know more about it, want to go out and hammer them a little bit. And I think that distribution thing, you guys have got locked down pretty well.
it's a big part of it's a huge part of the business. I mean, and if you're, it's a business at the end of the day. You have to sell enough product to be profitable, and especially at our size. So distribution's a huge deal. Having really good relationships with and trust. The buyers trust our sales guys and our teams, and there's so much to being a successful fishing brand like this. It's a big team, and we have just a ton of all-stars on our team right now. It's really cool. We've got a lot of guys that think the same, and they're all fishermen, and yeah, it's working. But yeah, certainly distribution and great people over in Finland making the baits. It's cool. It's a really cool company to work for. It honestly is. It's yeah.
Every time we talk on the phone, every time you have a smile in your voice. Just about every time. I mean, there've been a couple of times maybe when we were grumbly about something, but in reality, I probably talk to you, 6 to 10 times a year, and you always have a smile in your voice. And I'm telling you, that goes a long way with guys like me that are media people. Is that we want to be able to talk to people who are positive, who are upbeat. That's kind of why we're doing this podcast, is to have the positive side of fishing come out and not so much the negative. And if you want to look for negative, it doesn't take much looking. You can find negative every day. But we decided with this podcast, All Bass No Bull, we wanted to make sure that we brought the best stuff and the positive stuff that back to fishing. Back when I started this, which was about 173 years ago, the thing that turned the trigger for me wasn't the backroom stuff. I've been in a boat in fishing tournaments with a lot of the guys, the Browers, the Biffles, those guys, and there was just as much hooey back and forth between boats then as there is now. Social media changed the game because now people report on that, and that's where that negative comes out. So we're trying to do things like have Dan Quinn on, who's the most positive guy I know, and have him talk about the great things that are going on at Rapala and not worry about the social media aspects of negativity and rule breaking and all that kind of stuff. So that's our goal here. We're trying to do it the right way.
Well, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, you can definitely go down that rabbit hole of negativity through social media, and it's no good. I definitely steer clear of it and stay in my lane and do my thing and keep it positive. It's fishing, it's fishing at the end of the day. People go fishing to have fun, catch fish, and enjoy time with other people and enjoy nature. That's what it's all about. You got to definitely keep that in mind and not get carried away with all that other stuff, for sure.
Well, we've had, I don't watch news anymore. I truly don't. And I don't watch anything like that anymore. Social media has kind of got that way, but in my business, I have to stay on top of what's going on. So some days you come in, you're a happy Dan Quinn guy, and then you get something that hits your desk and you go, oh man, what the heck did I just get into? But you can manage that differently. Each person manages it differently. I would rather take that aspect of what you just said, the positive, the being on the water, the seeing the eagles, the doing all the stuff that you do when you're out there, taking your kids as you're doing right now. That's what fishing's about. Scott Gorbergen told me one time, it's just fishing. It's just fishing. And he's right. He really was. He was really right about that. And I think that if you keep that perspective, we can make this a positive thing again, just like we used to.
100%. No, I love that quote from Scott. That's great. It's just fishing. Just don't. You take it seriously as a business. You have to, but with it, keep it in perspective. Keep it between the lines, as he says.
You do me a favor, I'm anticipating December now. You're going to have this new ice auger, so that maybe it might be out a little bit before that. But ice here is what we put in a Coke. But I'm not a big ice fisherman because I couldn't fly. And I didn't, I would get around that ice and you hear it going, and they go, oh, that's good ice. It's making ice. No, it's making me get in the truck to go back to the house. That's what it's good for me. But it's that'll be coming out. But do me a favor and let me know when it's GA, if you would. And then we'll help you try to, do something again, maybe have you back on again, talking about the baits and their availability and some of that kind of stuff. I want to let you.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
I want to let you get back to your kids and enjoy the day. And I really appreciate you being with us here on our podcast. And if you come up with something down the road that you'd like to talk about, I'm here for you, bro. I'm here for you.
I appreciate it. Well, I knew you were talking about DTs a little bit ago. I don't know if you saw the DT12. So almost a little bit of a dream come true. I've personally wanted that one for a long time, and it's out and it works. I've seen some, can verify that.
As long as your arm that have come out. It's funny. I'm not going to tell you the brand, right? But we went and did some testing for a company down at Kentucky Lake one time, and they came out with this, this giant crankbait. And I said, the best part of this crankbait is you really don't know when you have a fish, but it fights just like one. So you make a big long cast and you're reeling it in and you think you got one, and it's the doggone bait that's making the action, right? But I think that there's a place for it. As these fish get acclimated to forward-facing sonar and all the stuff they're going to deal with, we've got to keep at it. Dan, I know you're going to do that. Thanks for being with us here at All Bass, No Bull, and we really appreciate you being with us here and look forward to the next thing.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Terry. Always fun to catch up with you and chat. And yeah, have a great weekend.
Hit them down the middle, baby. That's what we're all about. Have a good day.